Welcome, everybody, to Greg Heym's Crossing the Line. See, we didn't have that clap last week. Shar had to do it. He actually did it under the table for some reason, so it just wasn't the same.
No one does it quite like Ray.
Well, he went to clapping school, I guess. 'Cause, yeah, you know, well, he got the old part right about the...
Oh, my God.
He's the dapper clapper.
Yeah, be careful.
He's required to be here because then I feel young, because I'm not the oldest dude in the room.
True?
Yeah, well, you know, it's not easy being me.
Me and Scott just make you feel old.
Yeah, well, yes, pretty much. And angry for some reason. No. So on the show this week, we have Lone Daddy himself, Scott Nadler, and his hair, which arrived earlier this morning. Great to see you, buddy.
It's good to be back. Thanks,
And
Greg.
the voice of Gen Z,
Yes.
who has the greatest boss of all time,
Here. True.
Morgan Wilkins. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me again.
She's never not said well. Just one morning we like her to
She's
come
a very
in.
happy
came on and
person.
I was like, guys, so bad. You guys would be like,
I would
you
do
guys
that.
have it so easy. My generation.
That's right.
I
Talking
came here
about my
complaining.
generation.
I
Well,
wouldn't be allowed.
you'll get there. Don't worry. You just don't start off that way.
We need
That's
the real
fine.
Morgan eventually coming out.
All right.
It's too joyous for you.
So everybody have a good Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Big Wilkins family Thanksgiving that I wasn't invited to.
Yes, it was good. I did a lot of baking. I did a lot of help this year. I made the mac and cheese. I made olive oil cake.
Olive
So
oil
good.
cake.
Have you ever had olive oil cake?
No, and
it's
apparently I'm not
delicious.
going to
I made
have
from
it
scratch.
It
because
is.
you didn't bring in any
I did it.
leftovers.
And Lisa was mad at me because I didn't bring in the homemade pinoli cookies that I made.
My mother
the
loves
Italian was
pinoli
they're so good.
cookies with the, yeah, it's delicious.
I love
Holy
almond
cannoli.
flavored anything.
Okay.
Like, that almond extract. It's very specific, but it's good.
All right. Well, that sounds all exciting. How about you, Lone Daddy?
I didn't bake.
No?
I purchased a pecan pie.
That's okay.
It was nice. I told myself this year I was not going to overdo it with the food. That didn't happen. No, I went a little overboard.
It wouldn't be Thanksgiving.
And then there are leftovers, and I feel like like the pie kind of lasts throughout the weekend because you can't have all of it by the time you're eating all the food. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday become like these pie days. Okay, I'll have some for breakfast.
Yeah, a little bit. Exactly.
Pie for breakfast.
My dad was having the olive oil cake for breakfast with coffee, but he said it's kind of like a
Does
sweet
he
treat.
dunk it in the coffee? No,
You can
that is-
justify it
It's like-
because it's
Yeah.
olive oil. It's a healthy,
Yeah, exactly.
healthy
It's kind
cake.
of breakfast adjacent.
Yeah. Again, I would know I didn't get any of the.
No?
No, you didn't bring in any.
It's so
Well,
good,
I
Greg.
will
It's
make
probably
sure.
it's gone.
It's a big one for next time. What about you? How was your Thanksgiving?
I went to my godfather's house.
Very nice.
I had to, kiss people on the cheek because he's my godfather. No, it was very nice. There was like 20
Slip,
people there.
Each other envelopes.
Yeah, cash.
Handshake with some crumble.
Yeah, something like that. You got to wait outside in the lobby till you get to sit down. Then you can order your food. My aunt's a phenomenal cook, and the stuffing in particular was my great aunt's recipe. And we would go there when I was a kid for Thanksgiving, and we'd never eat the turkey because she'd make pasta first, and that would be enough for us. But it was great. Great conversations. My cousin was there with his 3 kids, all under 3 years old. Set of
3 under
twins.
3?
Well, he's got a set of twins and then a 6-month-old. And they're most adorable kids, just hysterical.
We had the same. We had 2 4-year-old twins and then a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old boy, and they take over the entire
Those are
meal.
fun ages,
they're
though,
great.
I feel.
And these kids do not scream and cry, and like they're just fun. Anybody can
Good.
grab them. My wife wouldn't let go of the little one. It's like, you got to wait for the grandchildren. It's going to be talk to your son.
Yeah.
And it was great having my son home. Although typical Gen Z, here's the first Gen Z complaint.
Brace myself.
I get a text from my son. You'd say, make sure you text me when the plane lands, and what number you're at. Because that's would pick them
Like
up.
gate.
Well, no, they have like exits, like they
Okay.
have numbers, right? And I get a text, I'm at 1% and the charger doesn't work, and that was it. So I was like, oh, how are we gonna find him? Oh, like we used to do in the old days. But in the old days, you used to be able to meet people at the gate.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I texted him back right away, like, we'll meet you at the baggage claim, even though he wasn't checking anything. Of course, he didn't see that because his phone died. And he's like, of course, like any other Gen Zer, it's not my fault. The cable broke. I'm like, you were about to board a plane with 1% power on your phone. What if it died when you were online to get on the plane and you couldn't retrieve your boarding pass? Wasn't my fault. So
It's not his fault either.
no, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
And then he was surprised when he asked if anybody would lend him a charging cable, like nobody answered. So
Well, he's in New York, so no one's going to give him anything.
you know, he's on a plane. So now he said he didn't learn the right lesson. The right lesson is make sure your phone is fully charged and don't drain the battery because you're scrolling through your social media feed before you get on the plane. No, his thing is I'll just bring 2 cables now. That's problem solved, right?
Could
The
never
Gen Z
sacrifice.
solution.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was great on Sunday at the jam I go to in Seaford at the wonderful Gusto Divino. Well, I'll be playing this Thursday from 6 to 9. So,
I will be there.
and Morgan's going to be there. She's going to
Wow.
sing
Coming.
too.
I'm
Okay.
bringing. I
And
will
you're
not sing.
singing.
Absolutely not.
That's what everyone's talking
Absolutely not.
about.
Please.
So my
Don't put
guitar
me on the
teacher
spot.
and his
You need
wife.
to start posting actual videos of the performances.
I do. Go to the Instagram page.
No, I'm on your Instagram. All I see is the advertisements of the upcoming shows. I've never seen actual.
No,
I
you got to go to me and Nikki's page, the
Okay.
Nikki and Greg Experience.
I'll take some
Okay.
videos of you on Thursday.
There we go.
So you have some content.
Get
for
my
the
good
week.
side. So the Marinos, Mark and Jean.
Which side is that, by the way?
Yeah,
Either. It
just
doesn't
to
matter.
clarify.
One's it
Which
doesn't matter.
side?
The side that looks like it has slightly more hair. So Mark was my guitar teacher for 5 years. We had him on the show before, but they moved to Ohio. But they still do the sing around Christmas time. They have their students sing Christmas songs, and they do it in age order, and it's adorable because the youngest kid came up first. That song "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas." It was the most adorable thing I've ever seen, and I felt bad for the kids that had to follow this because. But they all did, and my next door neighbor, I've accompanied their daughter for 5 years, so I had to do a Kelly Clarkson song underneath the tree. It was okay. I mean, my playing was fantastic. Grace did a wonderful job.
Of course, yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, good experience.
And you went to the Knick game Friday.
I went to the Knick game Friday on my son, and we beat Milwaukee.
was a
Take that,
great-
Giannis.
What a great game. It's a great game to go to.
It
Yeah,
looked
that
like
is.
he wanted to see Giannis,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
He saw him.
I want to see Giannis too. Why don't we go see
Yeah.
that?
That's the best, though. You see the best player play great, but your team win.
And they came back, and Kat had a really bad night, but Hart, the ridiculous amount of rebounds. And Brunson, you don't realize, because he doesn't hit a lot of threes, you really realize how quickly he accumulates points.
It's incredible.
It's all of a sudden, it's like he's got 30-something points. When did that happen?
I know.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. The crowd was really hyped, and there's nothing like the Garden when the
And
Knicks
the
are winning.
cup with the cool core and the
So I have a brother
whole
that
thing.
was complaining about this.
Mm.
He's like, "What do you do with the stupid court?" I go, "Do you even go to NBA games?" No. I was like, "Well, why do you think the NBA cares what you think about it?"
What do you think about it?
It's okay. The Lakers one, they had the scrap. Apparently, people were slipping.
People were
on it.
slipping.
They can't let
right.
LeBron get hurt again. I mean,
No.
come on. Or you imagine if Doncic tears his ACL because he slips on the.
They can't afford that.
So it's exciting. I love to go to Knick games with him, and
It was a good weekend in general for New York sports because, dare I say, the Jets won.
Yes,
I wasn't going to mention anything.
and
but
we're not
I
happy
don't want to
about
jinx
it.
it. I just jinxed it. They'll lose first.
Do you know, it's funny because you're watching the game in the beginning and you're going, Tyrod Taylor is really the best we can do for an NFL team for a quarterback? Is that really? I mean, he's a decent enough player, but he was missing wide open guys. There was one play after the punt return, the 80-plus yard, where he missed Mason Tails right in front of him. And a lot of announcers hold back the criticism, but Jonathan Vilma wasn't having it. He's like, how does he not see that guy? He's like right in front of him. So I think think about it. Justin Fields lost his job. He only threw one interception. Usually you got to throw like a lot of interceptions to lose your job as a starting quarterback, but I think they have him so afraid to throw the ball. I think they did the same thing with Zach too. You got to look at what Peyton Manning and Troy Aikman did their first years. They were horrible.
Is it the coaching staff that's making them afraid, or is it the fans?
No, I don't think they. First of all, the Jets do not care what the fans think because there was hardly any of them there. I
But
don't
the
know if you
quarterback
noticed.
probably cares.
I think when they with younger quarterbacks, and Fields has been in the league a couple of years, but he's still young. That they try to tell him just don't turn the ball over. We have a good enough defense. Don't turn the ball over. And clearly, when he was at Pittsburgh, that was the philosophy. But this is a passing league. And
You can't have that mentality in sports of playing not to lose.
Yeah, because
Playing not to make a mistake. That's when you get into your head and you start making mistakes.
Plus, you look at the receivers they have now with Garrett Wilson hurt, and you're like, this is terrible. Their secondary is terrible. And they win the game because an old guy who's clearly out of shape hits a 56-yard field goal to win the game. After they stupidly
anything we
take a
can
false start penalty, when they're trying to get yardage they shouldn't have tried to get. Anyhow.
You're going to have a happy boss this week now.
I know.
First time in a while.
Look at this. I'm excited.
It doesn't make me happy because now they're just going to have to give all those picks to trade up to number 1 to get Mendoza or whoever they want. We'll see. The big game is this week.
Yeah.
Well, let's enjoy the moment. Let's be grateful.
Yes, boss. See, I'm not really in charge. Anyhow, we're going to get to the real stuff now, I promise. Well, not now. Right after these important messages.
Do you have a big move coming up? I'm Scott Nadler with CrossCountry Mortgage, and I've got the loan to match your dream home. Whether it's your first or your fifth, I'll make the process quick and easy. Call me today. Let's make it happen.
Sedgh & Zuckerman is a boutique residential law firm guiding you and your clients every step of the way with a solution-oriented approach. Make sure to work with a deal maker and not a deal breaker. Contact us today at sznylaw.com.
Hi, I'm Evan Greenberg with Langdon Title. I specialize in title insurance across New York, helping real estate attorneys, agents, and brokers close with confidence. I solve problems fast and keep your deals moving. Contact me anytime.
On the Morgan Wilkins Show.
Please.
Wow. You got your own show.
No,
you.
I do not. This is the Greg Heym Show, and I don't think you're changing that anytime soon.
I don't know. It depends. Maybe I'd like being a
It's
guest.
honestly a really good name. I don't know who came up with it.
Well, my mother did. But anyhow,
Credit to Mrs. Heym.
my mother, since we have short last name, wanted us to all have longish names.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
so Gregory, and she always thought Gregory the Great. So I'm not the one who thought I was great first. It was my mother. Anyhow, so we got a bunch of economic news last week, and it was all bad. Did it depress you, Scott Nadler?
It was a lot of the same that we've been talking about. So I don't think it depressed me. It didn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
It's what was expected, which, look, it's not good news, but the markets don't like to be surprised. You like consistency. So, to try to soften this a little bit, the fact that it was consistent with what we've been seeing is a good thing.
So let's take this one by one, and these are actual headlines.
Yeah.
Well, mostly actual headlines. Private payroll losses accelerated in the past 4 weeks, ADP reports. Now, we got a jobs number for September from the BLS. Hard to believe, right, that we gained that many jobs. Now, private companies, they're doing a 4-week moving average thing. So they lost an average of 13,500 jobs per week over the past 4 weeks. So that would be a loss of about 54,000 jobs a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, does that seem, based on what we're hearing and talking to people and seeing how much longer people are staying on unemployment, is that a surprise? We know nobody's getting hired these days, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it makes it easier to swallow to hear that many people. It still feels like a large number to me.
Well, technically it's not, but we don't want to sound unsympathetic.
Maybe
So, no, I mean, losing jobs. I mean, it's bad.
If somebody loses one job, it's a bad thing.
You
right?
want to
But you're putting it on a
see,
scale.
you have to see a certain number of job gain each month just to keep the economy from going into recession.
Mm-hmm.
But there. Once we get through all of these depressing stories, we will say the rainbow at the end of it. So that was number one, and we're not going to get an October report from the BLS. So, that's too bad. But this is what the Fed will have to work with.
And this is where I'm trying to grapple with the importance of the Fed and what they're doing. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because, I think in the
Wait,
past...
don't I ask the questions on the Greg Heym Show? Go ahead.
Reverse psychology.
You could just ask it back to me.
Go ahead. What's your question?
So the Fed has this dual mandate, right? Lower inflation, maximum employment. But there's such a split in the Fed now.
Yes.
And if I'm an investor and I'm looking for the Fed for guidance as far as what's happening in the economy, how much weight am I giving to what they're saying and what they're doing if they're so split? We used to see votes back in the day where it was 11-1, 12-0. Now it's really split.
I mean, if you got two people to dissent, that was like
it's a big
news.
deal.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's so split right now, where some Fed members look at the data that they have, they're so focused on the labor market, and other Fed members are saying, labor market's not our biggest problem. We should really be focusing on inflation. If you're an investor, how much weight are you giving to what the Fed is doing? Because you're looking at them for guidance. So I'm looking at all this and thinking, looking forward, either there has to be a massive shift in the data that we're getting, and that's something we've already talked about.
Right.
Or, there's more and more companies are giving less credence to the value and importance of the Fed.
No, and look, they're both right. Inflation is still too high, and the labor market needs support. Mm-hmm. The problem is, it's like a doctor who has like a gunshot wound. Which wound do we go for first? Oh, get the one by the heart.
They're all bleeding.
Right. I mean, no, you have to prioritize, and clearly, we see a labor market that is not in free fall, but is clearly turning the wrong way, and that will hurt consumer spending at some point, and get inflation down. So you could say, let's just let it happen. You remember they tried that with Lehman Brothers. When they let Lehman Brothers fail, that was going to be the warning shot to all the other companies, like, get your act together, and maybe it won't be that bad. And we found out how bad it could really be. So I think that obviously the administration wants rate cuts now, heavy, big. Every administration wants rate cuts because they want cheaper money, because that's better for the economy in their mind. Mm-hmm. I think that with ADP's data, which is not going to go away now, I don't think most people were that aware of this report. Does Gen Z know about the ADP report?
I'm going to say probably not.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you. Okay. I think most people that aren't economists aren't aware of this report.
The ADP TikTok page is not...
It's not blowing up
right now, yeah.
Do they have a TikTok page? Interesting. All right,
they should.
Well,
it's their social content.
You're right.
We're the research department. Let's research that.
All right, sounds good.
They make job loss fun because they have cool graphs. So I think that this is a time more so than any time. You talk about the Great Recession, the wake of Lehman Brothers, the Fed not knowing what to do.
Right.
But this is the only time in my 33 years as an economist where it's been an argument on both sides. Like, hey, we got to get inflation lower. Because inflation has not been a problem in my career. The last time it was a real problem was in the 80s.
Right.
When Volcker had to start a recession just to get rid of inflation, because it was the only way you get inflation that bad down quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you look at what the Fed has had to deal with over the past 25 years, from 9/11, the housing crisis, COVID, these are...
Government shutdowns.
These are massive events that the Fed has to step in and make decisions. And look, I'm sympathetic to them. This is not an easy seat.
Well, don't feel bad for them. They play games too. Remember we talked about the odds, right? The CME odds of a rate cut. So it was looking very good, and then all of a sudden, comments from Jerome Powell, like, it's not a certainty, it's going to happen, like, leave us alone. And then so they send the New York Fed chairman out to go, president to go say, no, say that you expect another one.
Wherever
the game plan.
Wherever the wind blows, they can just change their mind very quickly.
It does seem like they have that luxury.
You have a master's degree in journalism, right?
I do.
This is crafting the message sort of thing. It's like a public relations nightmare. Like, everybody hates us now. What are we going to do? Send John Williams out to calm them down.
An attempt to control the narrative. And I think sometimes for people, it can feel like you're grasping at straws, right? It can feel like you're just saying anything to try and save yourself. And I sometimes feel like maybe the Fed has been more transparent with that lately than they have in the past, right? They're not doing as good of a job in letting the American people trust them. I feel like to be
the American people, most of them have never heard anything from the Fed. I mean, this is only a new thing.
I feel like they've been the talk of the town in the last 5 months.
Right, but for years they said nothing. They just issued a statement. Now there's press conferences. They try to offer more clarity. Well, because it's Fed speak.
It's like a secret society.
I know.
That's what they
and a society you don't want to be in.
No, it's true.
It's a bunch of nerd economists out there. They're like, Greg, you're one of the... No, I'm not. If I was running the Fed, the press conferences would be epic.
I would love to see
And the Senate testimony...
Must-see TV.
Must-see TV. For sure. All right, so that was bad economic data, number one. Number two, retail sales lower than expected.
Yeah.
Up 0.2%. The forecast is actually for double that. But, people still spending, right? And remember, the data had been surprisingly strong through August. So is this a 1 month pullback? What do you think?
That's what it feels like. And this is kind of goes back to what we talked about last week, where inflation 1 year is 5%, the next year it's 1%. Mm-hmm. Inflation's gone down, but it's still up. So retail sales going down, okay, but if you look at where it's been the last couple months, even the last 12 months, I mean, it's been pretty good.
I think we'll see it come back up for sure. I mean, Black Friday today itself is Cyber Monday. We're going into the holidays. I think a lot of people, we'll talk about this later, but you know how Gen Zers are shopping a lot on Black Friday. Millennials are waiting.
If only they had more money.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about consumer confidence also. And
We're
so
get there,
that's something that I think
we'll tie in later.
it really dovetails into what we're talking about now.
Oh, I have programmed this show
Yeah.
with expertise and
Perfectly.
precision, yes.
He's a master.
Part one is the fun economic news. Part two is all about Gen Z because they don't get enough attention as it is. So
We don't.
you
I'm
mentioned
surprised we didn't start with that.
you mentioned
We
Black
always do.
Friday.
I did.
So some preliminary numbers in. 12 billion in online purchases on Friday.
Wow.
So much for Cyber Monday.
Is that
Why
not
even have it
record
anymore?
setting?
Is that what?
Is that not record setting? Did they say anything about that?
I would assume so. 9.1%
Really?
increase
From last year.
from last year. Yeah, and actually spent over 6 billion online on Thanksgiving.
Oh, interesting.
I guess the food comas didn't kick in right away, so they had time to buy stuff.
fingers
According
still work.
to data from Adobe Analytics. So people are buying. You know,
People are
remember,
buying.
incomes are growing faster than wages are growing faster than prices.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the debt that consumers have, and then the student loan debt they have to pay.
That affects spending. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, and then so that leads us to the third fun story. This was the actual headline: U.S. consumer confidence tanks in November. So it's a numeric, you know, value put to this, all different levels to it. How you view the current economy, the future. So it's down 6.8 points from October's level, second lowest level since April. That puts it more in perspective. Now, we always want to remind people this is what we call soft data because it's based on emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, us economists don't have emotions. We have one. It's
Robots.
robot or pessimism.
Us Gen
That's
Zers
the only.
certainly have emotion.
Yes, and you have to tell all of us about it on your TikTok pages.
Oh my gosh.
So, what do you take away from this? You know, is it just the thing about this? It could bounce back or get much worse without any real change in the economy.
I feel like consumer confidence has been low for a bit now, and it's not a surprise. You take a weakening job market plus higher costs, you're not going to be so confident about the economy. But I think there are four things that are happening here that are factors in contributing to this. Number one, we just talked about the Fed and leadership and the government debt that we have. We don't have great leaders right now. You know, when you have a Fed that says inflation is transitory, months before we hit a 40-year high in inflation, that doesn't give the economy and the general public a lot of confidence in what our leadership is doing. So I think that's number one. Number two, you mentioned it before, student loan debt is very, very high. How about credit card debt? It's at the highest levels that we've seen on record. There's all these buy now, pay later services, which contributes to a lot of these high retail sales. And when you say,
How come we can't do that with houses? We just pay it later.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Isn't that a mortgage?
No, mortgage you pay right away.
guess I
You
should
start
ask
paying.
You get a loan up front, then you have to pay it back over time. Yes. Number three, and this is really an American thing. We value consuming over saving. You know, from the way products get advertised today, you know, it's all about consuming. It's not, there isn't as much emphasis. It's not as sexy as far as saving and understanding about compounding interest. And that's really important. And then number four, and you could speak to this, social media, this instant gratification generation.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Right? Where
What the helly, as the kids say.
What the hell? Don't even start with these phrases.
Oh, I have to
I'm
hear
gonna
them.
say it what you said.
No,
2
but
weeks
like-
ago.
I passed your Gen Z vocabulary test, if you
actually
remember.
did. You
That's not
passed
easy.
with flying colors. This
Good
is
for
true.
you.
This is true.
No, but I think it's from social media is always showing people what their life could be like. Whether it's real or not doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
right? It's
absolutely.
Here, you need to buy this product and then you can achieve this.
Yeah, you
Have
sound like a
all
fantasy.
you need to consume things. And you need it right now. ChatGPT
It can beat
is
you in 2
I
days.
need like people are complaining now that ChatGPT is too slow. I mean, you see how quickly the service works.
Yeah.
Ozempic is so popular now. People want to lose weight immediately. Forget.
Yeah.
So this idea of consuming and
Instant
getting things
gratification.
immediately, all these things, you put all these ingredients together and mix them up, it's going to contribute to this low consumer confidence.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I agree with everything you said. I think that's spot on. And I think especially for like Gen Zers and younger generation, I think that we have to be really conscious about that. Like we have to be conscious about how much we consume. And I think that the younger kids get these days, the less conscious they get about that, right? So their parents have to be really cognizant of the content that their kids are consuming, because that will affect them. It will affect their attention spans. It will affect their ability to be patient when they grow up, their ability to be bored, right? I definitely think
I don't even think
important
it's
for
what
kids.
they're consuming. Like, my son's 18,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that he's staring at it for those periods, you talk about, how's he going to be able to study for hours on end and read pages in textbooks if he's just going like this? Plus, imagine the arthritis these kids are going to have. I have arthritis in my hands from too much video game playing, keyboarding, and guitar playing. I mean, it's terrible pain. These kids are going to have it a million times worse, probably in their 30s or 40s.
I mean, even like I've spoken to kids who go to college in the age of like AI and ChatGPT, and like they're giving Chat the prompts for these essays that they have to write, and Chat is giving them an outline, right? And then they're creating their own writing from that outline. But even then, right, it's removing this element of patience you used to have to go to the library, right? Comb through textbooks for hours.
Oh, you don't
create your
even know
outline.
what it was like.
I know what it was like.
You never had to deal with card catalogs and angry people working at the research desk, because you had to
Yes,
fill out your
that
piece
I
of paper,
haven't known.
and then if you're lucky, you got a microfiche thing, and you put it in, and you hope it didn't melt in the thing. It was terrible the way we used to. There was no like go on the computer and find it thing. It was brutal.
No, and like, of course, there's certain elements of technology that have made us work smarter, right? Not harder. And for that, we're like grateful, and like we don't want to have to do things the way we used to. But I do think like in terms of like child development, like it's contributed greatly to the way kids lack patience in certain ways.
And it's funny because, people say, well, I've never hand out devices to my kids at a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think with the four of us, my mother might have done that. After she handed out the smacks, maybe she'd be like, all right, but then every kid has to have one.
Mm-hmm.
And then God forbid one of their battery dies, then you got to take them away from all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was at dinner with a couple friends, maybe 2 years ago at this point. Me, my friend, his wife, and their 3-year-old daughter. They sat her down, put headphones on, and an iPad right in front of her, and she was basically in comatose for 2 hours. We had to go, like, it was as if she wasn't even there.
See, why can't I do that when I go out to eat? But I'd be watching a game, but it's the same
That's
concept.
the thing. I think it's hard to say what you would and wouldn't do now that you have that available to you, right? Right? Parents who didn't have that 20, 30 years ago, you're like, well, I don't know if I would have done it, right? Because it wasn't an option. And it's hard to say now with it being an option if you would do it or not. But I definitely think that like it needs to be acknowledged the negative consequences of doing that.
So my son, one of these, letting his battery die on his phone as he's literally getting on the plane. He's like, what am I supposed to do if I'm stuck in the airport? I'm like, get a magazine or a newspaper. He's like, they don't make newspapers anymore. I'm like, no, they still do. I mean, I read the newspaper on an iPad, but still, I make sure my iPad's charged and I don't sit there, at the gate scrolling for nonstop hours.
They didn't have an outlet on that plane?
His cord
I was
broke.
thinking that.
So,
cord broke.
they wouldn't, but. All right, one more sad news headline, economic news headline, then we're going to break. This is another direct quote from the article. Fed's beige book shows cooler consumer spending, muted hiring, and higher prices. The holy trinity of bad news right there. Sorry, you're not spending enough money, nobody's hiring, and prices have gone up. So that's good. Again, this is also soft data.
Yep.
They call it the beige book because it used to be, back when we had books, Morgan, the cover of this was beige.
Oh, you have to show me one of those after this.
I don't think you can find them anymore.
Book, never seen it.
We have fake ones behind us,
You
I
got me a
think.
hardcover style book.
Yes, I did.
Yes, and I do use it.
Okay.
There you go.
She's like, what are these things in them? Those are called pages, Morgan.
Please, please.
We used to tease another one of the co-hosts I had on this about money. I'm like, it's this green thing you used to fold and put in your wallet.
I
Cash.
think millennials know less about that than Gen Zers.
My son got his debit card came and it wasn't activating. I'm like, well, you're going to have to call, on Monday and find, why? What do I need it for? I have Apple Pay. I'm like, you never need cash? Like, that's never happened?
That is a generational divide. Like my parents, my mom's always like, well, call. I'm like, I don't want to call. Like, I don't want to go.
My parents did the same
and
thing.
call.
My father instilled in us at a young age, always have cash on you. And
Yeah.
I still think about it. So
Cash is
I
king.
always have cash on me.
No, but in case you, my mother used to always say, make sure you have some cash in case you get robbed. And I'm like, I guess they're worried about them being mad.
Oh my God.
That and clean underwear was two things you don't leave home without. I'm telling you.
In case you get robbed.
It's crazy.
It's good thinking, though. You have something to give them, right? Maybe they don't take your whole wallet. Maybe
I-
they just take $20.
I mean,
He would negotiate with them.
Yeah, he
you know?
would.
does anybody get robbed
If
for their
anyone would
money
get out of
anymore
it,
when they
I'm
don't have
mugging.
money? They just take your phone. That's the most valuable thing you have on you.
I guess that's
Then they need the password.
Yeah, they got to hack
it's
it.
a
first.
whole
Well,
thing.
if
It's
they
a lot of work.
if they have
That happened to me, and someone gave up, and then they had me come pick it up. I picked it up like in literally like Washington Heights the next day. They DM'd my sister on Instagram and was like, and I knew they had stolen it the night before, and I think that they either had a hard time or they just gave up, and they were like, if you want it back, you can come take it.
Criminals have
Yeah,
changed.
and my sister met them at like a Dunkin'
They're not what they
Donuts
used to be.
and picked up my
and
phone.
now they've become friends.
Maybe they were Gen Z. They just got over it really fast.
And on that note, one last thing, the now chances for a Fed cut, which I think 2 weeks ago we were talking about 50-50. Now it's almost 90%.
Yeah, that changed pretty quickly.
That's the rainbow and all of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know how the Fed, unless there's not much time for things to change, I don't know how they don't go ahead and do the cut.
And then a week after the Fed meeting, we have the jobs report coming out, and then CPI a couple days after that. Yeah. So all this data that they typically would get beforehand, they're getting after. So we'll see what that does for the future cuts. And I think a new Fed president is going to be announced in the next couple of weeks as well.
Chairman,
yes.
Yeah, apparently the selection has been made. It's not going to be me. I know. I'm
I
sorry.
was pulling for you.
No, I couldn't
was
leave
too,
the
Mark.
show
You know?
because I miss Ray and Lena that much.
We would still keep the same name.
Too.
Yes. Well, I'd pop in here and do one every now and then. We just have rotating guests like they used to do on the Tonight Show. All right, we'll be back with the latest from Gen Z right after these messages.
Looking to stage a property but on a tight budget and timeline? Stage with Stage and Fold. Stylish, lightweight, foldable, 3D printed cardboard furniture that looks real. Quick delivery and easy assembly. Staging starts at just $199 a month per room, and setup takes less than 30 minutes. Contact us today to stage smarter, sell faster, save thousands with Stage and Fold.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
We're back with your favorite podcast. And I'm not just talking to you, Mom. I'm talking to everybody else out there.
Shar's mom, too.
Shar's mom, that's right.
Gloves.
Hey, Mrs. Shar. We like your son. That's all I can say.
Yeah, he's great.
Just leave it
It's
at
been
that.
great. Very
Leave it at
respectful.
that.
Well, the hair balance goes off because now we not only do we replace Shar so the bald level goes down, but now we have a lady with long hair on the show. So now it's all out of whack.
I will
why you
say,
put me
Shar
around.
does embody crossing the line.
Yes.
He does embody that ethos that we do have here.
He does? Yeah, he likes
He
to
likes to
push
cross the
things.
line. He likes
Yeah,
to push. He likes to push boundaries.
Push the boundaries.
He does. Well, he's a lawyer. What do you expect? They think they can do anything.
That's true.
All right. So, Morgan, we always joke, is the voice of Gen Z.
It's not a joke.
And since I have a Gen
It's
Zer at
very
home
serious.
and Gen Z nieces and nephews all over the place, there's a couple stories out, and we'll go through them. And we'll all give our opinion on Gen Z.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first one is not directly about Gen Z, but will impact them. MIT, that fancy school, released a study showing that artificial intelligence can already replace 11.7% of the U.S. labor market. Or that would amount to $1.2 trillion in lost wages in finance, healthcare, and professional services. The study conducted using a labor simulation tool called the Iceberg Index, created by MIT and Oak Ridge National Laboratory. What that means, I didn't even want to get into because it put me to sleep trying to read it a little bit. It's funny it's called iceberg. I guess iceberg is, you think about it like
It's
killing
coming.
1,000 people on the Titanic. Like that thing, it's coming. You should see it coming. You should make this.
You should turn away from it.
Your generation, is this scary to them, or do they think like, oh, I'm just going to do something else? My TikTok's really going to take off, and I'm not going to need to work.
No, I mean, I think that Gen Z is banking on a lot of things that aren't maybe mainstream or conventional. I'll say that, but I think that they're equally as concerned as everyone else of being replaced by AI. Arguably, and I'm curious to get your guys' opinions on this. I wonder if it's more something that, because we are we're not in the early stages of development of AI, right? Because it's been developing for years now. But I think we're in the early stages of implementation, right? Like really implementing it into society and like working its way within. I honestly think the generation after us might struggle even more jobs-wise than I think maybe us as we are, like present. I'm talking about, Gen X from like maybe ages like 21 to 28. I feel like people who are in the workforce right now, maybe it will affect them less. But I actually think the generation behind me, when they start graduating college and really trying to go for jobs, I think they will see how AI has made the job market a lot smaller.
But they will have the chance to adapt to it or adapt to it.
Yeah.
And say, okay, well now I can't, because the jobs that AI is going to take and has already started taking are the entry level jobs. When people do a lot of the grunt work, for lack of a better term, because it does it in split seconds.
Even coding, though, some of these software engineers.
Even dare I say, a lot of my job, the queries I used to have to run, and I had to make sure everything was joined properly. Now I just throw 2 spreadsheets in ChatGPT, and I get more answers that I can. But of course, much like self-driving, there's the warning that this may not be accurate. But it's funny. So I was at the jazz thing last night, sitting at a table where the average age was about 70, but you
fit right in.
The whole time, one of the guys said, well, this is all nonsense. They always thought robots were going to do all the manufacturing in this country, and we weren't going to need, assembly line workers or anything like that anymore. I go, this is different. This isn't robots coming in to take it. This is, people working with computers to do it. It doesn't involve building robots.
Yeah.
It's just throwing stuff into some sort of module that will then return what you need and do all the work. Now, we have to befriend this, right?
I was thinking back to the .com era. At that time in the 2000s, early 2000s, there were so many articles coming out about industries that were going to ultimately disappear, right? Looking at 2 things in particular. There was a lot of fear that the middleman was being taken out, right? So instead of going to a store to get furniture, you can go on eBay now, and you can get everything you want from eBay. And that middleman was cut out. But what they didn't take into account at that time was new middlemen were created. And then you had all these like payment processing companies that came about, right? Yeah. Which no one thought about at the time, but new industries were created as a result of this. On the other side of this also, travel agencies, travel agents, that was a thing. Back in the day, huge thing. Where you would have a travel agent, and then Expedia comes along and eliminates that industry. But if you think about it, there are still travel agencies that exist.
Yeah.
If Brown Harris Stevens wants to throw an event for 2,000 people, they're not going to Expedia. They're using a travel agency to organize all the flights. And
where are we going, and who's
that.
paying for it? That's Buffalo. No, it's too cold up there.
So I think. I don't want to say the article is meaningless, but they're missing I think the blind spot in the article is the other industries that are going to come about as a result of AI.
Markets change. You go back to the Industrial Revolution, what that did to this country.
Yeah.
And remember, the people with the most money are the baby boomers. It's like, so things can change, but the people with the most power over the economy are the older ones. And
I think, like the question is like, will those new industries though replace the amount of jobs that those eliminated industries lost?
There's always going to be a period
Yeah.
where you might have people displaced. Mm-hmm. But I think history has shown us when these new technologies come about, from the Industrial Revolution, the printing press, .com, AI,
yeah.
you know, it does recover, mm-hmm. but people need to adapt. And I think that's what you're seeing now, people figuring out how to adapt. It's going to be interesting to see, like, I don't know if you have, obviously you're out of school, but figuring out what people are going to start majoring in college going forward, that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell my son. He's in business school.
Yeah, you know, I actually think it's a really interesting point because I think there's a lot of majors right now that people like while they're cool, they're like effectively useless. Like, and I think a lot of people
don't say economics. Don't say economics.
Economics will never be useless. It's honestly, arguably, probably one of the most useful ones because it's just important to understand how the world. And
see, but I'm literally paying her to say that since she works for me.
That's actually my opinion, but it is true. But yeah, no, I mean, I think we'll see over time.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a fear of the unknown and people who don't want to change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have to. But if you are, like I try to advise my son, you have to read up on this stuff because, you have to plan. You're a brand of, you have the brand. What skill set is going to improve that brand and make it more appealing to companies out there?
Mm-hmm.
And, you think you're taught like do well in school, go to college, and you'll get a job. You can always find a job. And that was what the old people used to tell us. If you want to work, now it's not that simple. Right. And you see it now in the no hire, no fire economy that we're in. You've got to offer something special to have a company, take a chance on you.
Do you think that trade jobs are more threatened by AI, or you think like corporate jobs are more threatened by AI?
It's hard to say. I don't know where it couldn't be used.
Yeah.
The BLS, the data they collect, just throw it into an AI thing and have it analyze for you, and then you can do a lot more with it. But and then you hear that like AI may be accounting for half of economic growth in this country right now, but at the same time, the stock market's worried they're too happy about AI, and that's why we've had these wild swings in stocks lately.
Right.
So it's going to be a little bit of a wild ride, but we have to. Things change.
Hang on, to Scott's point, we'll get through it.
But remember, we all thought we were going to have flying cars by now, and we do not have flying cars. Even Elon hasn't made that happen. It doesn't fly. If it flies,
right,
then
I'm sure that'll be an update in a few weeks.
The software update. Now you have Elon come on the screen.
No
Your
wheels
car
needed.
now flies out. Take those wheels off.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so it was just Black Friday, and what a shock! It's most popular with Gen Z. So this was an AT&T survey.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was 40% of Gen Z, right?
Right, and 32% of millennials plan to do most of their shopping on Black Friday.
Yeah. Honestly, this shocked me a little bit. Why? Because I don't think Gen Z is like the biggest in terms of prep. I feel like planning ahead. I don't know. I would argue that like millennials.
My son does not prep. Yeah.
Yeah, I would argue millennials are way more to be like organized and planning ahead and kind of seeing what they need and evaluating and things.
Is that true, Scott?
I would agree with that.
Maybe there's truth to that. So that did surprise me. I was like, okay, Gen Z, they're getting their shopping early. But you know what? Everyone loves a deal. Deal is no discrimination.
And they're being shown every deal all the time on all their different social media platforms.
That's true.
I will say, I think it's sad that Gen Z won't be able to experience the waking up early to wait outside and stampede.
Go the night before.
Yeah,
go the night before.
Remember
those like old videos of people like stampeding over each
like
other at like a Walmart or something just to get.
Died.
Oh, people have died. Yeah, yeah.
It was like no joke back then. I mean, people. I saw a video of Target still did this. Like, and somebody did it. They camped out the night before, like Thanksgiving, and woke up and
somebody who's not like their family.
They were guaranteed like a free bag. Like it wasn't even like a deal of like, okay, you get buy one get one free. It was like you get a free item. And they came out with goodie bags and they waited there since like 2 a.m. until the store opened at like 7, I think. And there was like 2 eyeshadows and like a chapstick in there. And they were like, what?
Well, it's not the only thing people used to wait in line for. When you wanted concert tickets, Ray remembers this. People would camp out for days.
Are you aging, Ray?
No, he's just roughly my age. Not as handsome as me, but roughly my age. And, you used to wait online. And then you got to the line and be like, sorry.
Concert tickets, where would you go?
At the venue. Well, there used to be something called Ticketron, which I know you remember, Ray. And they would be sometimes in stores or in malls, and you would literally wait online. Yeah, or you'd go to the box office.
Oh, the box office.
You'd go outside Madison Square. I remember waiting. My brother gave me money to buy him Pink Floyd tickets, so I made him buy me Paul Simon tickets.
For sporting events too? Like what if you wanted to go to a Knicks game?
You would go to the box office and someone would have a laminated like map of the arena and say, okay, the seats are here. Now, I mean, just like anything else, you used to have to wait online for stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if a higher percentage of Gen Zers are shopping on Black Friday because they haven't learned what the millennials and the Xers have learned that the deals aren't that great. There's a little misleading going on there. And there are so many special days, Prime Days, Cyber Monday, Greg's birthday. There are all these great days where there's great sales. So why feel the rush to do it on especially doing it online?
I mean, we could connect this back to buying a house, right? Like, don't buy when everyone's saying buy, buy, buy. Buy when it works for you. Don't buy on Black Friday because everyone's saying there's sales and great deals, right? Just buy the great deals when you see them and it works for you. So I think maybe millennials have figured that out, and Gen Zers are just more susceptible to false advertising, maybe.
I'll say misleading advertising, but yes.
Advertising.
No, and it's funny because we were talking earlier before we came in here that I bought these guitar pedals from a company who makes it look on their website like they're discounting it. Like it'll say minus 30%. But if you go to any music store's website, they have that price. And they're not saying it's discounted. So you got to watch out because you're lying or misleading. You'll get caught because people know to search all this stuff.
I think Amazon caught flack for that, right? For like inflating their prices before Prime Day and then making it look like it was more bigger discounts than it actually was.
Did you worry like how much? Because then that's that fear of missing out. But not that you're not going to get the item, but you're going to not like the price.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
I don't know.
Holiday shopping, though, is a big thing. So people, it's holiday time. People need to get gifts for loved ones. And I think, when you're online looking at things and advertising, it could be very, very powerful.
It's also
and Gen Z
so
can be very
easy.
susceptible to it.
Exactly. And
it's very
so
easy to buy things.
Click, you can buy one thing.
So
add to cart, click.
That
Apple
begs
Pay,
the
it's
question,
done.
Exactly.
Since you're a Gen Z, what did you get me? It was Black Friday. You're out shopping. What did you get your boss?
You'll find out on Thursday when I come to your gig.
And don't get the obligatory #1 boss mug or something like that.
I was or an apple. No,
You
it's
gotta
for
reshop.
teachers, I guess.
I like apples.
I like apples too.
How about them apples?
All right. Who knew we get a Good Will Hunting reference? All right. So one more Gen Z thing came up.
There's
Gen
more?
Z more prepared for
You guys are taking
retirement.
over.
We're taking over tech.
They're more prepared for retirement than baby boomers, the study finds. This was Vanguard. 47% of Gen Z is poised to have enough money to maintain their current lifestyle in retirement. It's hard to believe they have that level of commitment, but you never know.
Ages 24 to 28.
Right, compared to 42%. Now, there's two main reasons for this. Auto enrollment, which has become
Probably the largest reason.
the largest reason because most companies do that because kids don't know nothing, so we got to do that for them.
Don't know nothing.
And time is your biggest friend in investing. So are you poised for retirement yet?
I wouldn't say I'm, I'm ready.
Good, because
I would say I've probably barely started, but I will say that you and Lisa told me how important it was for me to enroll as soon as I started, and my parents did the same thing. They were like, just do it because you won't even think about it, and then a percentage of it will go away, and you won't even have to think about it until if you were to go somewhere else, right? And you carry it over with you. So I think it's important, but I think maybe Gen Zers are more likely to do it now and are doing it more now at the hands of the older people in their life and their parents or siblings or aunts and uncles, et cetera, who have learned and know better and have lived through it and are like, you really need to do this. And maybe I think that's why we're we're reaping the benefits of maybe what you guys or the people or, someone's parents, et cetera.
No, and I think because
Greg walked so you can run.
Exactly.
my parents had pensions.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's a pension? Just like
grandpa
my son
was
doesn't know what a newspaper is.
Yeah.
I don't know what a pension is. It's like when they pay you not to work. That sounds good. But yes, as somebody that didn't start my first job first 3 years, but since then I've been contributing to the max every year.
I also think, but wages have increased. So someone who is 24 now versus someone who was 24 30 years ago, the amount that they're able to put into a 401k is going to be a lot more now than it was back then. I think that's kind of one thing.
Yeah, that's true.
My other thought with this is, I forgot exactly what the number is, but we're about to see the largest transfer of wealth in human history.
Yeah. Well, it's already started.
It's already started.
Yeah.
So I think that is setting up a generation to be a lot more, to be a lot more financially sound or financially prepared than prior generations.
We have a lot more information accessible to us. So it's almost like kind of like shame on us if we're not.
Yeah, but you're
prepared.
missing it because you're on the wrong sites. TikTok is not going to tell you how to invest your money.
No, it
Or
will
maybe
not.
it might,
Well, there's
but-
a lot of, equally as there's a lot of
The
information.
ADP TikTok will.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of misinformation too. So it's also about knowing. Luckily, this podcast is not one of them. So we're giving accurate information.
We're too lazy to make up information. We're just going to go with what's easily accessible.
Economists. That's what you
Well,
do, right?
when you're an economist, and I do have an MBA in finance also, you feel like you really should be good at
Humble
handling
brag.
your money
Humble
and
brag,
saving.
not humble at all, actually.
But it's like anything else. What are you putting the priority on when you get that paycheck? Well, you don't get paychecks anymore. But when you're thinking about, how to spend the money you make and what to do with it, are you putting savings first? Because if you do that, like my son's in college now, because I started a 529 shortly after he was born. He has 4 years of college paid for. That took planning and discipline.
Yeah.
It's no different than exercise or anything else it's worth doing in life. And it's got to be, and we joked probably a year ago, Susie Orman came out and said 95% of Americans are financially illiterate. I think it's 99.9%, but it's, you have your health, your family, and your money.
Right.
And, you work hard for it. You really should be up to date with the latest techniques about it. A lot of people think investing is gambling. It's not. You're making strategic decisions where you have decades of data to look through to see how stocks perform, how bonds perform, what should be my allocation mix of my investments. It's not that hard. Gen Z likes to mock us because we don't know what TikTok is or like how to download something or watch a movie we're not, or a game we can't get. My son always finds a way to get that game on his.
There's always a way.
Yeah. Do you mock us for that? Why are you surprised if we mock you because you don't know what a mutual fund is? I'm not saying you in particular, Morgan. I'm saying,
Well, maybe they're not as good as taking it as they are as dishing it out.
no, they are not. That is
You
true.
made a great point months ago regarding gambling.
Of course I did.
How gambling is so easy these days and how the unintended consequences
Yeah.
of that. I was watching the Knick game. Part of the pregame show is about gambling.
Oh yeah.
And
every
And it's
commercial.
gambling on everything, right?
On
So gambling
everything.
on Taylor
You can-
Swift's wedding.
On
right?
elections,
things that
the
will happen.
wedding, sports.
No, but it's not even that. Like you
Gambling
could,
on every
how many
aspect of life.
points
Yeah.
somebody has, like in a quarter. Like you
it's
saw this
sports
thing that's
betting,
blown
yeah.
up with the NBA. All the stuff about injuries that people were tipped to. But it's
But
funny.
it's as easy to gamble as it is to buy something on Amazon.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
That's why you would not find those apps on my phone because
It's addicting. It's really addicting.
It really
it is too easy. And again, especially if you're gambling because you need money, that's the worst kind because that's when you get desperate.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned gambling.
recommend.
One more thing just broke. This
Breaking
is
news.
breaking news. Although who knows when
Do we
you're
ever have
watching this.
Yeah, do we have breaking news sound?
Steve Cohen, who owns the Mets, won his approval to operate a casino next to Citi Field. So New York City will have 3 projects that have been approved, in the New York City area. Now, it's funny because we see that a couple of pitchers on the Indians and some basketball players are getting in a lot of trouble for being involved in gambling. So you're going to have every commercial is going to be a sportsbook commercial saying it's not too late to wager on this game, even though it's halftime. You're going to have logos on uniforms. You're going to build a casino next to where the Mets play, where the U.S. Open is played, and where allegedly soccer is played. If I cared about soccer, I would know that, but somebody told me that.
Really?
You're going to do all that, and then you're going to be shocked when the players get involved? What do you think about this?
By the way, do you remember?
Are the Mets players betting against their own team? Because they probably should because they're the Mets.
So-
if Lisa was here, she'd be really
she'd
mad
be-
at that.
yeah,
when
really
you would
mad that
watch
said
games live, there's always like a 30-second delay back in the day because if someone like cursed, for
I
example,
thought it was
they didn't-
7 seconds.
Maybe
Or
it
is
was
that
7
radio?
seconds.
I don't
So
remember.
it could have been 7 seconds or 30 seconds. So in case someone cursed or did something, they had time to bleep it out.
Bleep
We
it,
have
yeah.
no such delay here.
We don't. Now it's like 2 minutes.
Really?
So what people are figuring out, they're saying that Vegas is the one who's contributing to that because they can move. If I'm Vegas, and I know so and so player is going to score, and I'm 2 minutes ahead of the market, I can shift a line to entice people to start betting against what I already know the end conclusion is.
Is that not
so
like
there's
a
a
version of insider trading?
There's a lot of There's a ton of manipulation
that's
happening
crazy.
right now that people are starting to uncover.
Well, you
that
look
the
at-
mass
yeah.
public isn't aware of that they can do, which is really, really
And
scary.
AI will get
Really
involved in this
scary.
because look at how stocks are traded. The chances for arbitrage are milliseconds. You know, once news is broken and you get in right away, or you're in Congress, then you can insider trade all you want. But this is bad. I'm not lying. That's true. Look
like
it up.
allegedly.
Not allegedly. It happens all the time. So
We don't want to say anything definitively that we
sue the Greg Heym show. Go for it. Don't take my bobbleheads. You can't have Ron
Don't
Guidry.
take my
Who
bobblehead.
keeps sliding over? I think you're hitting the table too hard now.
We're talking about the Mets too much.
Well,
He's
you know.
getting mad. He's trying to leave.
I mean, congratulations, Steve Cohen. But I don't know what message this sends that we're it'd be like putting liquor stores next to houses of worship. Like it just doesn't seem to make sense.
Yeah.
But you want to have people lose faith. Remember, it took baseball years to recover from the 1919 scandal. If it hadn't been for Babe Ruth, who knows how long it would have taken. Now you're going to have a scandal. This basketball thing is still out there. We're still
big deal.
Coaches are involved.
Yep.
You remember when we had a referee?
Tim Donahue.
Yeah. Who was up to
He
his
was gambling
neck
on
gambling,
games,
and you're not going to be able to trust officials, and because there's just too much money involved.
Yeah.
And we know this from casino workers, at least from the mob movies I've watched. They're the most degenerate gamblers there are, a lot of them, because they're around it all day long. And if we're just going to put it everywhere, I mean, why don't we just teach classes in it in school while we're at it? I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Gambling is not something that should be that easily accessible and promoted to the level it is. And of course, the little warning on the bottom that, if you have a problem,
It's
call
so
this
legible.
number.
You can read it so clearly.
They should do a credit check at least if someone's going to want to start gambling. Some sort of background check or regulation to make sure that people aren't really putting themselves into more debt than they already are.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, Greg, I can do it responsibly. Okay, you're the few, the proud. Like that is something that just go into a casino and see what you see.
It's a slippery slope, right? If you lose, maybe you're out, but if you win, like you keep
Walking
going,
away
going.
is very hard.
Very hard.
No, because you're like, I'm hot now.
Right.
I will say, I feel like my grandparents are the most obsessed with gambling, and I don't know.
Slot machines?
Yes, like they will. Jake's 58.
Yes, I'm
On Long
familiar with the
Island?
place. Yes.
My grandma lives there, and she loves it. And honestly, she's 94.
All right,
who
how much is
cares?
she actually gambling?
Probably at least 2 or 3 times a week.
No.
Yeah, but dollar
driving
wise,
out
probably
there?
Oh, we're not asking questions like that.
I would think because I've seen your grandmother. I'm sure she's
No, she's very with it. She's
probably
94 and she's driving
$5
herself.
to $10 at a time.
She's driving
58.
herself.
Yep.
Well, you're where does she live? She live near you?
Westbury.
Okay, so that's kind of that's what, about 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
From me,
For a
my parents are in
94-year-old, it's
Huntington.
impressive.
Or from Jake's 58, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's I would say 35, 40 minutes sometimes.
She may have a problem, by the way.
Yeah, no, I think certainly. I just think she's 94 and she's like, I don't care. And I'm honestly I love that energy.
No,
I'm
it's
you
your
shouldn't care.
money.
You're
Do what you
94.
want with it.
Do what you want.
It's just for the young kids out there. Like, what if they get a hold of their parents' phones, or the parent doesn't know, and it gives them the bank information so they can get on one of these sites. Next thing you know, your house is gone.
No, gambling is that's a very real addiction. It's not, and being so, I think, slowly integrated into, making it so
mainstream.
easy. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Mainstream is not making the issue any better in the future.
Well, I think it's a bad idea, and
Anything positive on there, Greg? You want to add?
no, it's just blank after this. No, look, we mentioned that the Fed's going to cut. This weaker economic data is going to help bring mortgage rates down even before the Fed does anything. Rates ticked down a little bit last week, but they haven't really moved much for a month or so. So I think we should have expected this. We thought this was the economy we were going to have a year or two ago. We thought inflation would do enough to cut spending to the point where companies would start laying people off. It didn't happen because we were saved by the baby boomers and their cash. Like they had tons of it. And all of a sudden they're getting 5% on their cash in the bank. And everybody went nuts and we were all happy. So I think that this could be where we skirt a recession again. We just are able to avoid it, but it's hard to say because at some point we want to see inflation get a little bit lower, but at 3% is not 9%. So, I think we have to remember that. All right, we've run very long talking about all kinds of groovy stuff here, but I want to thank Morgan Wilkins.
Of course.
Now get back to work. And Scott Nadler.
Yay.
And Raylena for their
of course
precision work.
Producing
and clapping. Lena actually just clapped before, and she doesn't clap that much. So.
Thank you, Lena.
Girl
we
power.
Need that.
Girl
exactly.
power.
We need to align in this room.
I'm not going to argue with that. I've learned being married for almost 30 years. You don't argue with that.
Sounds good.
All right, well, everybody, I hope you're all awoken from your turkey comas and have a great week. And Jets don't win again next week. You won't lose, all right? Thanks, everybody, and thanks for your support.